Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Define Disaster. This is Battlefield 1. In today's video, we're going to be taking a closer look at the Model 10A Hunter shotgun, available, of course, to the Assault class in Battlefield 1, with the aim, of course, of finding a little bit more out about this weapon, how it is best used, what maps and game mode to use it on, and whether or not this is the shotgun for you. Now, to start things off, as per usual, a quick glance at the stats of the Model 10A Hunter. Now, a brief warning beforehand, stats already in Battlefield 4 regarding shotguns weren't necessarily very good at determining a weapon's performance. It really was all about cone of fire and how the weapon really played in field, more than what the stats actually showed. And this was the case more for shotguns than pretty much all the other weapon categories. In my opinion, this has just gotten even more so in Battlefield 1, so the stats tell us even less about a shotgun's actual performance on the battlefield. And furthermore, the stats have gotten quite a bit more complicated than they used to be as well, just to make things more difficult. Nevertheless, however, let's take a look at the stats. Starting off, of course, as we always do, with the damage model of a weapon with a maximum damage of 8.4 and a minimum damage of 4.2, that is per pellet. We have what I would like to call a standard shotgun damage model for Battlefield 1, in that it is shared by a number of other shotguns, one of them, for example, being the 12G Automatic Hunter. Next on, then, we have the fire rate, 78 rounds per minute, typical for a pump action shotgun, familiar to something or somebody who would use something like an 870 MC or SPAS 12 in Battlefield 4, however slow in comparison to some of the other available shotguns in Battlefield 1, namely, for example, the 12G Automatic Hunter at 257 rounds per minute, or the M97 Trench Gun Sweeper at 138 rounds per minute. The shotgun comes with a magazine size of 6. What would you expect? Standard shotgun magazine size, pretty much. Make sure you keep it topped off, but don't reload too frequently, or you'll find yourself getting caught mid-reload, which, unlike in Battlefield 4, is once more a thing. You can't interrupt the reload on your shotgun by just simply hip firing the shotgun. So make sure when you're reloading, you're in safety, and when you're not reloading, you're ready to go. With that being said, though, let's move on to the number of pellets, one of the key statistics for determining a shotgun's performance. This is high with the Model 10A Hunter, no surprise here with the number of pellets at 20. It isn't, however, the highest. There are a few shotguns out there which have more, namely, for example, the M97 Trench, which has 21. Next up, then, we come into an area which starts to get very vague and difficult to really decipher what is actually the reload time. Now, because with reload times, what makes it so complicated to determine it, other than actually trying to time it with your stopwatch maybe, is that the fact is there's 5 different pieces of statistic that influence the reload time. No kidding, check it out on Synthic yourself. There is a pre-reload delay, a post-reload delay, a single bullet reload, then there's a bridge delay, and there's a strip reload time. All of this contributes to the time it takes to reload. So much I can tell you, if you reload a single shell into your shotgun, you first have to put your shotgun into a position in which you can reload, and then it will reload a shell. Thus, reloading after every single shot may not be the best idea. Wait until you're missing 3, maybe 4 shots, and then reload them all at once. It'll be quicker on a shot per shot time basis than if you do them all singularly. So much to be said, you should expect roughly, I'd say, 0.5 to 1 second per shell. This is obviously going to be less the more shells you reload at one particular time. That being said, let's move on to recoil, another confusing factor regarding shotgun performance in Battlefield 1, with a vertical recoil of apparently 11 degrees, and this isn't only for the Model 10A Hunter or the Model 10A. There's a number of other shotguns out there which have seemingly ridiculous amounts of vertical recoil that I wasn't really able to determine as per se in game. Like, yes, the shotgun kicks quite a bit, but 11 degrees? I mean, comparing this to something like an Automatico suddenly makes it seem as if an Automatico has no recoil whatsoever. However, this is a shotgun and recoil isn't too important anyway, because you're using this in close quarter and it's more about hitting your first shot and getting that one-shot kill, maybe your follow-up shot. Recoil isn't that much of an important factor here. Nevertheless, recoil to left is 0.8, recoil to right 1.2, a little bit more hefty and unruly than some of the other shotguns, but certainly not the worst, and certainly not something that I found myself fighting too much when trying to use this shotgun effectively. Using a shotgun effectively is really not about recoil control, but much more about game mode, combat distance, and accuracy of shot. Now, last but not least, we have the accuracy of a shotgun. ADS values. Now, these have always been dubious in Battlefield 4 as well, because they didn't account for something so-called cone of fire and random spread, so that your shells could suddenly all appear to one side or the other side, making you completely miss your target despite being perfectly on point when aiming. This is the same for Battlefield 1, and you will occasionally find yourself shooting right on a target from maybe 5 meters, crosshair perfectly placed, and you won't even get a hit marker. There's nothing you can do about this. It's just the way shotguns work, both in Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 4. In the interest of keeping things complete, however, let's nevertheless talk about those values that we have presented to us. An ADS value of 0, aiming down sight while not moving at 0, an ADS value while moving of 0.4, and an hipfire value at 0.6. The shotgun is accurate. It's much more a matter of putting your crosshairs on your target, making sure you got an accurate shot, and then praying that you don't fall victim to some form of randomness that is always present with Battlefield shotguns. With that being said, let's move on to making your use of shotgun effective. What do you need to pay attention to make sure that when using your shotgun, you're at the best you can be and you get the most out of it? Now, this is down to a number of key factors for shotguns in Battlefield. One of them is accuracy. You have to have your crosshairs on point or you just won't get the kill. With that being said, therefore, using a shotgun on a day when your accuracy is on point, you're already doing kill streaks with other weapons, you're hitting those headshots, is a great idea. Using a shotgun on a day where you're not doing so well, your action time isn't as good, is just going to make things worse. This is similar to Battlefield 4 with pump action shotguns. If you're having a good day, this will make your day better. If you're having a bad day, Model 10A Hunter or shotguns in general will make your day worse. Another matter is positioning and combat distance, and this comes down to game mode as well. So something like Operations or Conquest on Argonne Forest, from which almost all of the footage you are seeing today comes from, is ideal. Running around on Sinai Desert, for example, between some of the outer lying flags is less of an ideal situation. You'd laugh, but you see people running around on big open conquest maps with shotguns. It's just not a good way to run it. You're gonna get shot out by a DMR or by a sniper rifle. And another thing to consider, as I said, was not just the way the map is designed, but also the way the game mode progresses. So Argonne Forest, for example, is even easier to farm kills with a shotgun on something like Operations. Generally, Operation maps are more suited to people using shotguns because knowing where your enemy comes from or knowing where they are enable you to easily flank them is the ideal situation to be in to have a shotgun. Therefore, any Operation map which has, for example, a trench-like beginning, for example, Ballroom Blitz or even Scar, is a great place to use a shotgun. You will successfully be able to rule the trenches with it. If you're trying to use it later on in the map where things get a little bit more open, more random, there's a lot more moving and there's a lot less cover, maybe you should be switching up to something else for the assault class. With that being said, I'd like to hear your experiences with shotguns in Battlefield 1 or even specifically the Model 10A Hunter. Given that there's been quite a lot of speculation and quite a lot of uproar about this specific shotgun, many people claiming it's too powerful, I expect quite a few of you have already tried it out and made your own impressions of its performance and whether or not there are better alternatives out there. Feel free to leave your video suggestions for future Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 4 videos down below in the comments as well. But with all that being said, I'd like to thank you very much for watching and hope to see you in the next Battlefield 1 video.